Hey everyone, and welcome to r/AmITheButthole, easily this channel's favourite subreddit. So guys, I won't even waste my time with an intro. I'm sure you all know what to do. People tell us their stories, and we tell them if they're buttholes or not. So let's not waste another second and get straight into this first one by user/ThisSucksMuchoNutto. Together 4 years, married 4 years, 1 child and 1 stepchild. Stepdaughter is in college and was having extreme anxiety issues because of upcoming tests for school and the military. Wife drove out to see her for a week in September. Hotel and rental car and everything. Almost $1,000 for the whole trip with car, hotels, gas and food. It was not an optional trip. She said basically, I'm going, that's it. She started a new job in January and has limited time off and used most of all of it for this trip. I haven't had extended time off since a while ago. I work from home and even when I was on vacation, I was working in the yard and around the house on projects. When she was on vacation, she was 12 hours away, spending time with her daughter and sleeping in a hotel, not getting woken up by our daughter, the dog, and etc. I've taken the week of Thanksgiving off work because we get Thursday and Friday as paid holidays, so I only had to take 3 days and got a week. We're supposed to go to my cousin's house for Thanksgiving, Wednesday afternoon. I've been hinting that I want some time away like she had before we go, maybe Saturday through Tuesday, and she's insisting that I'm being ridiculous. And her time off didn't count, and that since I got to work from home, it's different. I would really like a few days off work. I've been stressed at work since we're short-staffed and getting burnt out. And honestly, I haven't been anywhere since Corona hit. So, am I wrong to want a few days to recharge like she had? Look, OP, you're not the butthole for wanting a holiday, but you just gotta understand that you're not comparing apples with apples here. You know, you're trying to compare two different things. Your wife didn't take a holiday when she went. She went to go see her daughter and help her through a hard time. That is far, far, far from a holiday. I mean, if you need a break, I'm sure you could talk to your wife about it and get it sorted out. But I would say that comparing the two things would make you the butthole. Your wife didn't go for a holiday, so just basing the fact that you need a holiday based on that isn't enough. I say you're the butthole. And here's the next one by user/Veldmorskalder. We've got ourselves a friend group that we spend a lot of time with, and now that stuff's all weird, we spend even more time together as we can't exactly hang out at the usual spots anymore, so we go hiking and cycling and stuff. It's pretty fun to be honest. Our friendship group is me, 17, my girlfriend, 16, 4 of my friends between 16 and 18, and 5 of my girlfriend's friends, all between 16 and 19. Now, one of my friends who we'll call Joe, 17 male, has a little brother, 14 male, and the kid is not all there. No one has ever explained the complete details to me about what he actually has. I think autism or something like it, but he's very antisocial, struggles to make friends, says very awkward stuff out of nowhere, often comes across as creepy, drones on about odd stuff no one cares about, demands a ton of attention, so someone always has to watch him essentially, and worst case scenario, he throws a tantrum, the sorts you throw when you're a small kid. Now, sometimes Joe would take his little brother along because his mum made him and we were all okay with it. I mean, we weren't happy about it, but we want Joe around, and we know we sometimes have to deal with it. But since the world started ending, Joe's mum makes him take his little brother along pretty much all the time. Likely because he's bored, and it's hard to find a sitter during these times. As a result of this, we all no longer enjoy hanging out, as we got to deal with this kid, and we started not inviting Joe anymore as a result. No offense, but we can handle the kid a few times a year, or at most once a month, but when sometimes turns into multiple times a week, it's just too much. Joe was getting suspicious because we stopped inviting him for a full 4 weeks, and recently found out and confronted me and another friend. We straight up told him it's because we don't want his little brother around. He started yelling about how it isn't his fault and we shouldn't exclude him. So we said we don't want to exclude him, but we also don't want to deal with his brother and essentially have to babysit when we want to hang out and have fun. It's all been tense as hell, and honestly, I feel rather bad about it. I know this must suck for Joe, but I also don't think we should have to ruin our fun for Joe. Even if there was nothing up with the kid, it's still weird to bring a 14-year-old along all the time. Yeah, look, OP, I want to say not the butthole to you, not the butthole for Joe as well, so sort of no buttholes here, except maybe Joe's mum, because, I mean, she can't expect you to just take on board this kid that needs constant looking after. I mean, even then, if none of you know the extent of his condition, then you can't really properly look after him. That's just straight up a bad idea, I think. On the other hand, I don't really see anything wrong with having a 14-year-old around. You're all 16 to 19, 14's a bit younger, but really isn't a prohibitive sort of age. If his kid would act a bit more normal, then maybe you could even adopt him into your group, but clearly that's not the case. No one wants him to be there. I don't think even this kid himself wants to be there. So you need to look for a better solution. But we'll move on to the next one by user/crackrock sunrise. Basically, a coworker of mine is a born-again Christian, and he loves to talk about his connection to God, his exclusive worship group, his mentor, and a bunch of other stuff that makes me think cult. But that's beside the point. He was going on a daily rambling about the power of prayer and the importance of being connected to God, and said something along the lines of, with prayer and talking to God, everyone can be happy and stop with that fake anxiety and depression BS. I suffer from some pretty severe depression and anxiety. I've made attempts on my life, and I'm honestly doing a lot better right now, which is probably why I had the nerve to look him in the eyes and just say, God isn't real. He didn't take too kindly to that, and while my other coworkers got a little giggle out of it, I couldn't help but feeling a little bit like a jerk. So, am I the butthole? And honestly, I'm a bit conflicted with this one. If I should go, everyone sucks here, or not the butthole, just don't discuss this stuff at work. If you know you're going to start a fight, just don't do it. It's not the right place, it's not the right time, just leave it alone. But with that said, let's move on to the next one by user/OKCranberry4914. Am I the butthole for laughing at my ex-wife request to do a joint session with her spiritual advisor/life coach? We've been divorced for a while and really have no relationship other than the kids. The less I deal with her, the better. She's too much drama and nasty. Lately, she's been acting different. She attributes it to seeing a life coach or whatever that is. I guess that's an unlicensed therapist. I couldn't care less. Last week she called me and asked me to do a joint session with this life coach. Oh, and she had her life coach there too. I tried not to laugh. It was like a bad joke. Obviously, I don't buy into that BS. She said she had unresolved trauma that she needed to work through with me so that she could be the person she was meant to be. I started laughing. I told her if she wanted to waste her time with quacks, then so be it, but leave me and our kids out of it. Her life coach said I was being aggressive, so I told her she was one step above a phony psychic and ought to be ashamed of herself for preying on lonely bored women. Then I hung up. I mean, honestly, I want to say no buttholes here. You clearly want nothing to do with your wife. Your wife wanted to reach out and see if you could work through some of the stuff that had happened. Honestly, I don't know anything about your relationship, so I don't want to comment anymore. Seems fairly reasonable to me, that's why I'm going no buttholes here. If your wife thinks that her spiritual advisor, life coach, or whatever she wants to call it is helping her, that's great. If she's got some way of making her life better and pull it together, awesome, great for her. But if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. And here's the next one by user/deleted. There's a nature preserve where my partner and I like to take our very puppyish 1.5-year-old dog to hike and exercise. It's an off-leash sharer, and there are signs saying so. The dog is well trained, with good recall most of the time, and we generally keep him within arm's reach when people pass by, sometimes pulled off to the side of a trail. However, he's young and exuberant, and occasionally he'll greet someone. When that happens, it's always been a welcome interaction. This is an off-leash dog area and generally has a dog-friendly culture. Today, a jogger, white female if that matters, happened to be coming by within 6 to 8 feet of us while the dog was facing the other way, sniffing around. Caught off guard by her, the dog turned around, wagged his tail, and rushed over to greet her. There was nothing unusual about this interaction in my view, except that the jogger was absolutely hysterical, shouting "No, no, no" at the dog over and over. Naturally, we gave him the come command and did our best to get him to leave her alone. Again, he normally has very good recall. But he was distracted by her reaction, particularly as she was communicating with him, and it took maybe 10 to 15 seconds to finally heed us. Really, only seconds, and clearly we were trying. And at it, he then came and we made him sit and stay until the jogger passed. The jogger then shouted at us, "Leash your dog if it's going to be like that." When we passed her and were out of earshot, my partner muttered, "Like what, a dog?" Then perhaps 20 or 30 seconds later, she turned around, or she'd been watching us the whole time, and shouted, "Leash your dog." Keep in mind, this is an off-leash dog area, and there was no one in front of us for almost a mile. I understand that not everyone is a dog person or wants a friendly greeting, but is this lady as crazy as we thought she was? Who's the butthole? I guess I sorta have to go with you're the butthole on a technicality that, you know, if your dog's off-leash, you should have voice control of your dog. But at the same time, from personal experience, if you're in an off-leash area, you should be prepared for something like this to happen. I've seen the best, the most well-trained dog just go crazy, lose it, and not listen to a single thing their owner is saying. And I'm not saying it's right that that happens or it's wrong, but I'm just saying it will happen. And if you're in an off-lead area, you should be prepared that this could happen. What might be influencing my judgment a bit is the fact that around where I live, there are very, very few off-lead dog parks. So OP, I guess I am giving you your butthole off the technicality, but personally, I am more inclined to say not the butthole. And here's the next one by user/throwaway. My friends Sophie, Lucy, Austin and I are college students. While none of us are star athletes, Sophie, Lucy and I are more fit, while Austin is on the heavier side. He also has mild asthma. A few weeks ago, the four of us went hiking. The trail was steep, but Sophie, Lucy and I were able to make it up without too many issues. However, we had to stop several times so Austin could catch his breath. At one point, he told us to keep going without him and he'd meet us when we came back down the mountain. We kept encouraging him and he did make it to the top after some struggles. Lucy recently got asked on a hiking date and wanted to make sure she was prepared. So she texted Lucy and I asking if we'd like to go hiking with her. She made it clear that she didn't want to invite Austin as she wanted to be able to take a challenging trail without him slowing us down. Lucy and I agreed to hike with her. We had a lovely hike with nice views. I snapped a picture at one point and without thinking, posted it on my Snapchat story. When I got home, I noticed I had a message from Austin asking where I'd been. I told him I'd gone for a hike with Sophie and Lucy. He responded, "Where was my invite?" I said that Sophie had texted Lucy and I and it had been a fairly last-minute thing. He didn't respond after that, and I assumed he was done with the situation. The next day, the four of us were hanging out together when Austin made a passive-aggressive comment about how he hoped we enjoyed yesterday's hike without him. Here's where I think I may be the butthole. I stepped in immediately and told him the reason we didn't invite him is because on the last hike, he slowed us down a lot and we wanted to be able to challenge ourselves. He seemed pretty upset and left. Lucy agrees with me, while Sophie says I could have found a nicer way to phrase it. Did I go too far? Damn, this is a hard one. Well, I mean, it's not a hard one. It's you're the butthole OP. But, well, not just you OP actually. It's you and all your other friends, Sophie and Lucy. But at the same time, it's a tough situation. What do you do if this happens? If you want to do a tough walking trail and you know Austin will weigh you down. I mean, honestly, I have no idea how you go about a situation like this. I mean, probably the best one would have been to just tell Austin directly and be like, hey, we want to go for a hike, but we want to go without you. Or alternatively, don't post pictures on your Snapchat story and just keep it quiet. Not an ideal solution, but if all of you could keep your mouths shut and your Snapchat stories nice and clean, I mean, that would make the whole situation a whole lot easier. And guys, I think this post is going to be the last one for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel for Reddit videos once every week. That's right, new Reddit video every single week on a whole bunch of different subreddits. But with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and all I want to do is see you all here next time. See you later, guys.